Start. Yo, 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 yo. Happy Saturday. You know what day, you know what time it is. And oh, by the way, wake y'all punk asses up. And again, thank you for taking the time out to give us your attention on this Saturday at midday. Almighty, the war famous, the G Mix, broadcasting live right here on DJ Scratch, the Scratch Vision. And we are joined by hip hop royalty, a legend in the game. You know that term is thrown around a lot, but this is a for sure legend in the game. We are joined by Wise Intelligence, Trenton's own, Pro Teacher's own Wise Intelligence. How you doing, brother?
I'm fantastic, brother. I mean, thanks for the magnanimous introduction. So I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And of course, I am Bridget Taylor, along with.
This is Black History Month, so I'm Matt Turner.
DJ Soyo.
And again, we thank you for taking the time out to give us your attention. And hopefully the rest of the Scratch Vision family that will follow soon after us. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Wise, man, you got this book, just came out, 3/5 MC. I'm not going to say the rest of the title because I thought it was interesting, and I wanted you to expand on why you chose 3/5 MC as well as the rest of the title. So you can't say the whole title of your book?
3/5 and MC. It goes back to the 3/5 compromise. When the United States, were trying to figure out how to count votes, bodies, human beings, for political power, which basically translates to economic power. So they decided to count every enslaved African or every enslaved Black body as 3/5 of a human being, or 3/5 a vote to be, to sanitize it, but 3/5 a human being. So basically they dumbed down our humanity, to 3/5. So it was the 3/5 compromise, because the southern states, they basically were saying that they wanted to count the enslaved Black bodies as a full vote. Whereas the northern states were saying that if we allowed that, then they would outnumber us all the time and they would get more representatives in the House. Mm-hmm. So we have to compromise somewhere. So they compromised or settled at 3/5 of a human being classification for the enslaved Black people. So the 3/5 MC to me is an example of someone who has taken the compromise. We've compromised, in a lot of ways. We've accepted the dumbing down of our epistemology, our interpretation of the world, our history experience, that translation of reality and our justified beliefs about the world, so we've accepted not addressing the interests and concerns of Black people to receive cash and prizes, so it's a 3/5 compromise. So we basically dumb ourselves down to 3/5 and MC, because for me, the MC, a full and complete MC, is an MC who speaks to the issues and concerns of the society and community that he represents, and that's not happening, I mean, while the MCs are still saying, I represent this hood, I represent that hood, it's, how are you really representing your hood when you're not really addressing the oppressive reality that impinges upon your entire community, so for me, that's a compromise, and the 3/5 MC is just the prelude to a series of 3/5 books, that I'm working on. We have 3/5 an educator, the manufacturing of a dumbed down teacher. We have 3/5 a politician, the manufacturing of a dumbed down representative. So across the board, Black America is expected to dumb itself down, to accept this compromise, for cash prizes and positions. And so that's why I opened the book with Barack Obama, saying that an Oprah Winfrey, a Michael Jordan, or Barack Obama will not be readily embraced by greater America if they address the greater issues of social justice. So they all compromised, so they all compromised. They did not address those issues in order to be embraced by greater America. When we say greater America, let's not make no bones about it. We're talking about the majority white population here, who make up approximately 2/3 of the population.
And that's just the title, folks. We're just talking about how the title came about. So that tells you how the book gonna go. We need to read it as a hip hop community, first of all, because he's, that's our legend. But in addition, all communities, really, we can learn from that, because what you just said is absolutely 100% correct.
So 3/5 and MC, the manufacturing of a dumbed down rapper. What do you think are some of the tools, the mechanisms that are used in the manufacturing of the dumbed down rapper?
Deprivation is the number one tool, economic deprivation, economic injustice is the major tool. That's what guarantees the reinforcement of the reality, because when you look at how everything is set up in the Black community in particular, or the home of hip hop, the ghetto, this is a systematically created environment. And this environment is an environment of deliberate concentrated poverty. It's an environment that was redlined out of franchisement. It's an environment that is not necessarily suffering from a dearth of resources, but suffering from a situation where we're having over extraction of the resources. Like, for example, working in the not-for-profit community, our communities are considered under-resourced communities, but that's as far from the reality as you could possibly get, because our communities are not under-resourced, they're over-extracted, and that means that all of the resources that we possess that could empower the community are extracted from the community, within seconds, because we don't control the internal markets in the community economically. So everything, let's take hip hop, for example, since we're talking about hip hop and MCs and rap, when hip hop started to form in its embryonic stages, we couldn't walk up in a bank and get loans to open venues to showcase the art. We couldn't walk up in the bank and get loans to seed the businesses, the business verticals that were associated with hip hop, like, for example, microphone companies, turntable companies, so this created a situation where people alien to the community, companies and individuals, entrepreneurs and venture capitalists who were foreign to the community could come into the community and create products around hip hop to facilitate the art form developing technologically. So turntables that can co-cut back to back, mixers that can facilitate cutting and blending, needles, order-fine needles that could stay, in the groove when you're cutting and spinning the record back. So this is all business. This is all commerce. That's all created off of our cultural resource. However, we're not able to walk up in banks or venture capitalist firms and get the funding to build these things. We think in terms of venture capital for innovative ideas. The Black community receives approximately 0.006% of venture capital funds. So, that's one of the mechanisms, you know. So this lopsided power relationship when it comes to economics, you know, it's sort of like if you offering a person that you've deprived of economic sustainability, $250,000, $100,000, or even back in the day, $8,000, $5,000 to produce to deliver a record, you know, a hip hop record, you know, a person who's coming from nothing, absolutely nothing, mother on welfare, father absent because the welfare program dismantled the family. You know, this level of deprivation and concentrated poverty, you know, puts people in dire straits. It's the same reality that made drug dealing and illicit activity, you know, appear to be a viable economic option, you know, for many of us, you know. So this is the same system, you know, that actually created the state of deprivation and then flooded the community with illicit drugs, knowing what the outcome would be, you know. So that's one of the mechanisms that helps facilitate the dumbing down of the MC.